my journey started in a way that you would never have thought I'd be working in an insurance field or in a cybersecurity field. Like, it's the kind of thing where, um, as I've grown up, as I've gotten older, as I went through college, I majored in mathematics. I minored in computer science, but I was always a techie, math kind of nerdy, brained, logic brained guy, right? But at the same time, I'm also very personable. I love to engage with people, talk with people, connect with people, network. It's all stuff I'm kind of gifted in and love doing. So when I got to the end of my my college life, I graduated and then I worked as a resident director at my college for an additional year. So I was an RA, I was an RD for a year or 2 years, and then I graduated, became an area director, overseeing part of the freshman. Yes, David, I am a professional wrestler in disguise, but also I spent a good amount of time in like college life space and relationship development space, and then I went off to seminary, became a pastor, spent 3 years in seminary, spent a year in the Virgin Islands doing pastoral work, then moved back to Long Island where I live now, doing pastoral work for 2-3 years. Um, but my kind of hobbies and personal life kind of lived more in the cybersecurity space. I'm like a self-proclaimed privacy junkie. So like internet privacy was really important to me, locking down your IPs, using VPNs, all that fancy stuff, but then also um, making sure that people's networks were just secure, like my parents, and being at home friends. Hey, so using a secure router, like even basic stuff like that. Like I probably could have been a salesperson for a lot of these companies. Just I should have been part of like affiliate programs or something. But anyway, when I
You
moved
kind
back
of
to Long
are
Island, yeah, I know. It's
now.
true. When I moved back to Long Island, it was very apparent that a pastor's salary can't really pay the bills here. It's expensive to live on Long Island. So I felt called here, was living here, um, was doing my ministry here, but I was like, I gotta make more money. So I walked down the street 2 blocks from my parents' house where I was living at the time into a local insurance agency, and I asked the owner. I said, "Hey man, I need a job." And he said, "So what do you know about insurance?" And I was like, "Well, I know you need it." That's all I said. That's all I knew. And he looked at me and he kind of thought about it. He says, "Well, insurance is all about taking risks. So I'm willing to take one. Let's kick it off." And he hired me. So I had to get my insurance license, and I worked in this local agency, and I was working alongside a bunch of brokers. Specifically, I was working in personal lines, so helping people with their auto insurance and home insurance and all that kind of stuff. Then eventually they moved me over to commercial lines, so I was starting to write business insurance policies, with local businesses in the area. Um, I didn't dislike insurance, but I was really only working that job to make ends meet so I could continue to do my ministry. So as my ministry grew and I was able to increase my income there because it became more full time as opposed to part time, I was able to kind of step away from the insurance world, and I had no intention of ever going back. Like I was just like, I don't. That wasn't my life. I didn't want to be an insurance salesman. I didn't want to be doing that kind of thing. So you have this person who has a history in insurance. So he's 2 years of experience selling insurance, understanding the traditional insurance world, and at the same time self-proclaimed tech nerd. Like anytime the internet went down in my house as a kid, my parents would blame me even if I had nothing to do with it, that kind of stuff, right? So cyber minded, insurance experience, that was kind of my life.
Yeah.
But that was never the trajectory of my life. Those were just two things I did. So I was doing my ministry, and then I met my wife, now wife. And when we got married, all of a sudden it was like, dude, not only does ministry not pay the bills to live on Long Island, but now I'm married, it definitely does not pay the bills to live on Long Island. So that's when I stepped away from formal ministry, and I
Mm,
still preach. I'm still involved in my church. I'm still very engaged. I'm just not on the payroll, right?
mhm.
And in a lot of ways, that probably helps the church. But in all honesty, like I still feel very much moved to be a part of that. But at the same time, it's like, okay, I need to support my family here, because if I'm going to be doing the ministry stuff, I need to stay here. So I spent the I actually moved into a financial advising role, and did the whole, like, you get your Series 7 and you get your Series 66, like all that stuff. Um, and so I spent 3 months of hardcore training to pass those exams. Passed those exams, started doing the financial advising, did it for about a week and said, "I hate this. This sucks. Like, this is not what I want to be doing." Now, part of it was like pounding pavement, going business to business. I didn't actually hate that. The part that
Mhm.
I hated was the fact that I was saying to them, "Hey, you know what? You should invest your entire, like, business savings, your personal life savings with me, and I'll take care of you." When at the same time, I was like, "You know what? I don't really care about the markets." So I learned all this stuff about the markets, and when I was done learning about it, I was like, "This isn't interesting to me." So then you're talking to someone, and then you're talking to someone and you're saying, "Hey, invest your life savings with me, but I don't really care." Like, that's the
Yeah.
most
It,
disingenuous way to run business.
it's bad
It's
sales.
yeah, bad sales because you're selling something you don't care about. Not that I didn't believe in it. I do think for someone who's a high net worth person, having a financial advisor is probably a really helpful thing. But that financial advisor should ultimately be a market nerd. Like, they should be into that stuff, right? So
Yeah.
I hated it and I was like, I got to get out of this. But I was like, what the heck do I do? I don't know where to go. So I'm going to have to do this until I find something. And a friend of mine, John Wicker, reached out to me and said, "Hey, man, it's actually my wife's my wife's best friend from college, her husband, so out in Pittsburgh. Um, so my wife went to school in Ohio. So he reached out to me and says, "Hey, my wife told me that your wife said you're looking for work. Well, I work for this company, Fifth Wall. We're looking for an account manager. Would you be interested?" So I was like, "Oh, maybe. Could you tell me a little more?" And he says, "Well, we're a cyber insurance company." I was like, "Oh, insurance, not again, man.
You
I
weren't
hate my
excited
life
about
already."
you weren't excited about cyber?
Well, I didn't know what it was.
Okay.
So when I was working in the insurance space, when that was in 2016,
Mhm.
and cyber insurance existed, but it wasn't really being, like, pushed or explored in the depth that it is now.
So all you
Like,
heard was insurance. You didn't
I heard
think back
insurance.
to
I did
you
not hear
didn't think back.
cyber. I heard
Yeah.
insurance.
Yeah.
And the first thing I did with that was like, "Oh man, I don't know." But you know what? I've done that before and I hate what I'm doing now, so I'm willing to have a conversation.
Yeah.
I sat down and talked to Reed Wellock, who's the president of the company, about it, and we had he had a really good conversation. He's one of those personalities that's really dynamic but genuine. It's not like he's trying to manipulate you into something. It's like when you talk to him, you're like, "Dude, this guy has good energy. I would love to work with this guy."
Yeah.
Um, and a couple weeks go by, and I end up getting a job offer for the company. Now, in that time, my insurance license had lapsed, so I had to go retake my insurance exam. And now I'm looking at it. So I'm simultaneously restudying for my insurance exam and reading cyber policies. So I'm just like trying to absorb as much information about a cyber insurance policy as I can. So I'm in tandem studying cyber insurance policies and then studying the New York State insurance licensing requirements.